So one of the difficulties we run into when training in or teaching HEMA is that for most of the systems we're covering, there's a fair number of guards that we're hoping that we will remember or that our students will remember. And it can be very difficult if we do it in a format where we learn a guard, we learn the attacks and defenses, and then we move on to the next. It becomes very easy to forget the guard or forget the terminology relating to it. So one of the easiest things we can do is take a page from the Bolognese. So if you look at Giovanni delle Gocchie, if you look at Marazzo, Manciolino, they all have assaults. They all have forms that they use as a way for you to learn your actions, learn your footwork, and learn your guards. So in training Joachim Meyer's Dussack, I decided to take a page out of delle Gocchie and more or less partially plagiarize his Passeggiata nelle Guardie, the walking into guards form. Because what I discovered was that it's hard to really care too much about the various Dussack guards and understand them conceptually if you only see them as vague positions rather than the end points, the termination points of cuts. So I developed the stepping into guards form for the Dussack. It is still a work in progress, but this is its current status right now. I'll do the first repetition facing you, and then I'll do repetitions to either side so that you can see what's happening. So when you start this form, just like in delle Gocchie's first stepping into guards form, you start feet together with the sword in your left hand as though it were in a sheath. You draw the sword and you salute, eyes looking just over what would be the quillons or the knuckle bone. From here, you pull back into right Zornhut. You cut down into Wäschel using a Zornhau. Turning the blade up, you do an Unterhau into Steer. Cut across Mittelhau to Mittelhut, cut down Oberhau into Eba, the boar, thrust forward into Langort, the long point, retract the right foot so that the heels touch into Watch or Wacht, cut down into Baste, basically Albert for the Dussack, cut up into Bogen with a passing step at the right, and then increase, cutting into the straight parrying or Gerade Versatzung. From here we have the retreating portion. We retract the right foot into more or less the left steer. Doing a Zornhau from the left into Wäschel. From here we pass back with the left, cut into Zornhut on the left hand side. We do an Oberhau retreating into Eba. Retreat into Langort, thrusting forward. Retract into Wacht. And then from here, we repeat the salute, and we sheath the Dussack. So let's do another repetition going this way. So, just as before, draw your Dussack, salute, pull back into Zornhut, Wäschel, Steer, Mittelhut, Eba, Langort, Wacht, Baste, Bogen, Gerade Versatzung, Steer, Wäschel, Zornhut, Eba, Langort, Wacht, and then we salute. One more time, going the opposite way. We salute, Zornhut, Wäschel, Steer, Mittelhut, Eba, Langort, Wacht, Baste, Bogen, Gerade Versatzung, Steer, Wäschel, Zornhut, Eba, Langort, Wacht, salute, and sheath. So, like I said, this is a work in progress. There may be subtle changes here or there just to make it more martial rather than just going through the guards. But this creates a really good exercise for new students to jump in, learn all the guards without making it a tiring and somewhat frustrating aspect of their training. It's no fun to sit there and go, oh, which guard is this? Or is this Zornhut? Or is this Zornhut? It's much easier if they have a training exercise that covers all of the guards on both sides, so that way they can remember them relatively easily, and it also gives an instructor a segue to talk about them. As you go through the guards, you can say, oh, well, we're in Zornhut. This is really good for throwing the father stroke, or this is really good for throwing a surprise thrust over top. And then you can use those examples as a way to make the guards more than just static postures that the students take when they're sparring. Just a thought. Cheers.